again to Cyber Gist here at Securely Evolving. It's a beautiful time of the month where we have cybersecurity conversations and get to learn from people's stories, get to learn from things happening around us, and share cyber tips generally. So on this edition, we are looking at cyber smart things to do before and after a phone loss. And I'm your host, Goodness Oji. Fortunately, I wouldn't be able to show my video today due to some unforeseen circumstances, but yeah, please listen up. I'm sure you'd learn one thing or another from this particular edition of Cybergist. Yeah, so back to it. Cyber smart things to do before and after a phone loss. So just before we get started, I have a quick question. Would you hand over your ATM pin? Would you hand over your ATM card and the pin to a stranger? So a stranger just walks up to you and asks, please, can you give me your ATM card? Can you give me your ATM pin? Would you be able to do that? Right? So when it comes to handling our phone these days, it's just like that. Like when your phone gets into the hands of a stranger, either through theft or maybe you just misplaced it. Maybe you didn't put your phone in to your pocket very well, or it was stolen from your bag, or which, however way it happened, right? It's basically like handing over your ATM card and PIN to an entire stranger, and a lot can happen. A whole lot can happen, right? So we're going to be looking at why phone loss is a cybersecurity risk, and what are the things to do even before you lose a phone. And in a case where you've already lost a phone, what are the very first things you need to do? So this is not a bad wish. This is not a bad prayer. Nobody is expecting or willingly open to, oh, I'm going to lose my phone today. It does not ring a bell. It does not give you like a notice in advance and say, oh, tomorrow or in 3 days time, I'm not going to be with you. Your phone does not give you such notice. Be like, oh, in the next 1 week, use me as much as you want. Now, next 1 week, you won't be able to have access to me, right? But these things happen. These things happen, and while we have little or no control over them, it's important that we make preparation in place for before this happens. There are certain things we need to put in place before it even happens, and just immediately after it happens, so that the impact is not so much. So these are the things we're going to be looking at. Why phone loss is a cybersecurity risk. What are the things to do before and after? And then we would go back to the key takeaways from the session. Okay, so we get started. Why is a phone loss a cybersecurity risk? So we all know that our phones are no longer just for calls or text. Our phone is basically our digital keys now. With your phone, you have access to a whole lot of things. Your social media accounts, you have access to um, banking applications. Different things that we get to do with our phone. Some of us are even digital marketers. Some of us are social media managers. Right, beyond our own information, we have other people's information stored on our devices. We handle other people's social media accounts, and you can imagine what happens with one compromise. Imagine what happens when that phone is in the wrong hands. So beyond just losing the device, oh, I don't have the device anymore, oh, I don't have access to this. You're thinking about a whole lot of things. You're thinking about your contacts. You're thinking about um, probably pictures, documents, very important documents that you have on that device. So our phones are no longer just for calls and texts. They have our digital keys. What is inside your phone? Just like I mentioned, with our phone, we get access to banking and finance apps. We're able to run our daily transactions. We're able to log into our different social media platforms. We're able to access our emails. We have a number of contacts as well. We have work data. data related to maybe your workplace, very important documents. And you can imagine what happens to each of this. So with your banking and finance apps, um, any when that phone is in the wrong hands, somebody's going to try to access your banking information, somebody's going to try to make transfers, somebody's going to try to pull out funds, right? And who knows, maybe that's a fund that you've been saving it since 20 something, right, to be able to maybe execute a very important project. Sometimes it's not even your own fund, so maybe it's something that was handed to you for a project, and then within a twink of an eye within a twink of an eye you see that it's gone, right? So this is why one of the reasons why we're learning about this. Social media, some of the risks, you come to impersonation, somebody gets access to your social media accounts, they begin to do what they want. Sometimes they begin to portray brands that are quite different from the values that you have, right? They begin to use it for very, very, very malicious intents, reaching out to friends, asking for money, using your name to defraud people, especially if like you're a known influencer. And these things are super, super important. We also have your emails. A lot of things we do in life these days, like it's tied around our emails, right? You probably did your backup, you did your 2FA, you did so many documents, that you get to save on the cloud. You are able to access them just with your email account. So imagine what happens when somebody gets access to your email account. That is a lot of gold. That is like express access to anything. From there, they can reset whatever password they want. They can change, they can do because they have access. They can read emails, they can read the OTP when it's coming in. Then we have contacts. People are going to take your contact. Like when your phone is in the wrong hands, that stranger is going to take your contacts. That stranger is going to get access to the number of people who know you, who trust you, and you never can tell the extent of damage that would be done. So this is one of the reasons. These are some of the reasons, rather, why it's important that you. This is why it's important that you prepare ahead of a phone loss, or what know the certain things you need to do right after. So just like I already explained with each of these, beyond just making phone calls and the rest, these are things that you stand to lose, right? So they can carry out fraudulent transactions. Loans can be taken in your name. You see people crying a lot, crying because these people are in huge debt, paying for things that they do not know anything about just because it was taken with your name, like the details, the evidence, and everything. It links to you. There's identity theft where somebody impersonates you, uses your person has gotten access to your information. Person like even gets to speak like you sometimes. They go that extent with AI these days, all these deepfake and the rest. Have pictures of you, they're able to blackmail people, with cases where you have very sensitive images on your phone or sensitive files. And then they start blackmailing, oh, if you don't want this to be released outside, you need to give us this amount of money, right? You don't want to be in that situation. So I'm sure we've heard stories a lot of times around where someone loses their phone and just within few minutes they start getting debit alerts. People There are cases where people even get to see that somebody would use your phone, or to buy airtime, like even borrow or buy data in advance, like leave you beyond the cash at hand. They leave you with like extra debt. There are also cases where they now get into your WhatsApp, for instance, begin to chat people, get into your Facebook account, get into your IG account, begin to, chat people, acting like they are you, requesting for money, requesting for a number of things. I'm sure we've heard stories like that, and I'm sure you do not want to be a victim of that. So, like I said, while we have little or no control over these things, at least they are the very little things that we can do. And that will bring me to a question. If your phone should get missing today, because of course we are different people, and there are so many things, like we have different things that are most important to us. So if your phone should go missing today, what's the first thing you will worry about losing? what's the first thing you worry about losing? So for some people, you're going to say, I'm going to miss all the photos I have in my gallery, all my documents, all my this. I think for me, if my phone should go missing today, one of the first thing I'm going to be worried about losing is my mail, because there's a lot attached to my mail. Very important files, very important documents. That's basically like set up to um, social media accounts and all of that. So for me, yeah, I think my mail is going to be, because of course, even when I back up my photos, it's going through my Gmail. Anytime I do all of that. So for you, what is it for you? What's the first thing you would worry about if you should lose your phone today? So you can drop that in the comments. So, what are some cyber smart things that you need to do before your phone goes missing? Before your phone goes missing, what are cyber smart things you should do? Right? So, the very first thing is, before your phone even goes missing, please always use strong screen locks and password. So putting a password or a screen lock on your phone is not about you having things you're hiding, or maybe you're being secretive about something. It's about security, right? Um, Before anybody even gets access to other things, the very first thing is to even at least crack the entry point. So somebody wants to come into your house to take something. The first thing they need to figure out is, how are they going to go past your compound gate before you even come to you have a compound gate. You now have, like, maybe within your own building, probably have a lock. You now still have doors, you now still have windows, right? So that's like the very first entry. But when you decide to make life easy for cyber criminals or scammers and the rest, like, I don't know why you would even want to make life that easy for them. So it's important that first off, you should have a strong screen lock. So you can use your fingerprint. You can use, for me, I'm not really a fan of facial IDs these days with the whole AI thing going on. I'm not really a fan of facial IDs, but yeah, that's also a form of security, right? You can use patterns. You can use, but whichever one you decide to go for, make sure it is strong. Make sure your passwords are strong. Don't use easy patterns that, oh, somebody cannot even be playing with your phone and draw it and the phone would open. If you're still using your name as your password, you are wrong. If you're still using phone numbers 1234, you are wrong. In fact, you want to go back to one of my old posts. I'll probably share the link. You want to go back to my old post on how to create strong passwords, how to create strong passwords, and most importantly, beyond password, use passphrases. I'm going to share the link to that video so that you get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. Please, these are gone are the days where you use all those, very, very generic passwords. It's very easy to crack. Like, you don't need to do a lot, and they can easily open your phone. So make sure that you have screen lock in place, and whatever password you're putting is strong enough. Secondly, you need to enable SIM lock, right? So sometimes they are not able to get access to your phone. Maybe there's a lock or something, and there are even cases where they are not necessarily interested in your phone. They just take out your SIM card from. So if you enable SIM lock, it helps to prevent thieves from swapping your SIM. Having access to all those your banking codes, OTPs. At least whenever they put in, so far as they've removed that SIM card from the phone and they're trying to insert it in another phone to carry out whatever intention they have, they would be required to put in the lock for the SIM. So this is beyond your phone lock. This is your SIM itself, right? So number three, this is super super important, right? If you don't want to lose, if you don't want to lose your money, because these days, of course, our SIM cards are linked to our banks. It is very important that you know your bank short codes. Know your bank short code. Learn the USSD codes to block your accounts, so that immediately something goes wrong, right, you will be able to act quickly. But if you don't even know the code, it's going to be a problem. So before your phone even goes missing, it is important that you know the USSD code that you need to be able to, block your account temporarily, pending when you're able to go to the bank in person, to make necessary changes, right? No customer service numbers, right? If you're using, whether you're using your MTN SIM, whatever network you're using, it's important that you have these numbers ahead of time. So, for instance, for your USSD code, so let's say you're using a bank like, so generally for banks in Nigeria, it's your bank USSD code in addition to 911, right? So we'll talk more about that, like when your phone goes missing. So the first thing you need to do is to enable remote tracking on wipe. So there's a feature on your phone. For iPhone users, you can see find my iPhone, and then you can see find my device for Android users. So it helps you enable remote tracking, or a feature where you can remotely wipe your device in a case where it goes missing. Then the fifth is important that you secure your apps with 2FA. So I mentioned earlier that you probably live in a building and you have a compound gate. You still have protector. You now have, some people even still have, you have all the security guards and whatever. You still put camera. You still put, so that you can trace something from the entrance. You still lock your doors, still lock your windows and all that, right? That is 2FA. So 2FA is like, I'm even saying 2FA is more like multi-factor authentication. So 2FA is for two. So maybe, for instance, I'm putting my password and an additional code. That's like two-factor authentication. There are cases where you can do more, right? On your social media accounts, your email, your banking apps. So you can go ahead. Oh, not just this. Also check on my mail. Send an OTP to my mail. Also request for maybe a code, to be for me to provide a code from my authenticator app, right? So multi-factor authentication, very, very important. And please, when you log in to other people's devices, or maybe you're using a cyber cafe, always ensure to log out after. Don't leave your accounts logged in other people's devices. Super, super important. So that brings me to the next question. Do you know your bank's short code? If for any reason you need to block your account today, do you know your bank's short code? Right. So for Access Bank users, right? Because I use Access Bank, right? So you already have like your bank code. You have *901 hash, right? So no matter the bank you're using, you need to know the bank's short code. So in a case of Access Bank where their short code is 901, all I have to do is to do, if for instance my phone goes missing and I need to temporarily block access to my account, what I need to do is to use somebody's phone and dial *901 *911 hash. So when I dial that, it's going to ask me for the account number related to the account that I want to block, right? And it instantly blocks that account pending when you're able to make a request, right? So whatever bank you're using, I think for First Bank users, their short code is 894 also. So for whatever bank you're using, you need to know your short code. So that short code *911 hash. Right. So those are things we need to do just before our phone goes missing. Like, it should be a lifestyle for you, not because you're necessarily preparing that I'm going to lose my phone. So, like I said, it does not ring a bell. It does not give you notice. It's not like quick notice that they'll tell you, oh, we're giving you 6 months to pack out. Oh, in 6 months you're going to lose this phone. So these are things you need to know, and it should actually be a lifestyle for you. So what to do immediately after a phone loss? You need to stay calm. You need to calm your nerves. I know a lot of things are going through your head at that point, right? You're panicking, or you're remembering all the beautiful things that you need to do with your phone. In fact, sometimes losing your phone can keep you, it can leave you like on a standstill. You can feel like you can feel like I remember one time I lost my phone, and I was crying so much that you would think I lost someone, because that was how important that phone was. Like, it basically had, like, for me to carry out my work, for me to do basically everything. So I know how, like, I can understand how that feeling can be. The very first thing you need to do is to link to that particular number, or something on that phone, please. The first thing you need to do, block those accounts. disable transactions, right? And you can only do this if you already prepared ahead of time. Network customers, bank customer care numbers, and all of that, right? Block your SIM, request replacement. So basically, those things you did before you lost your phone, here you are now acting on them, right? So you want to alert contacts, you want to update your account. So the passwords you had, if you have access to, still log in before they go ahead and access your social media accounts. That is the time to log in and change your passwords. That's the time to log in and change the password to that your email, so that even if they're able to log in on that phone that they've stolen, right, they won't be able to access that. You would have already made those changes. It's time for you to tell your friends, oh, I lost my phone. If anybody should send you a message in my name, I am not the one, right? It's also the time for you to implement, you had initially set up all those remote wipe and remote lock. So you can now activate it, like remotely lock the device and erase the data. So you want to go back, you want to go and read up on how to do this if you don't know how to like do all of this. So some other cyber safety tips: regularly back up your data, so that in the case of a phone loss, of course, all you need is maybe when you're settled, when you've gotten a new phone, you can always have access to those documents, your photos, your um, files. You can always have access to them if you were doing a backup, right? Periodically review apps that have sensitive information and linked devices, especially for your social media accounts. Once in a while, just go and check linked devices, right? Go and see other places you are logged in. Go and see other places that other devices you're logged in, and try to log out of them, right? Another tip: disable auto save on sensitive information. Like, for instance, you see all those pop up on your browser that say, oh, save passwords. So once somebody gets access to your phone or something, person can just go to your browser, try to log in on the site, and it's already telling the person, oh, should I autofill? Person autofills and has gotten access to login. So it's very important that you disable that feature. All right. So basically, this is a run through like everything that we've talked about. So the summary of it is that your phone is not just a phone. Your phone is your digital identity, your money, your contacts, your data, very important accounts. It's all in your phone. Like, your phone is like express access to your digital identity, and therefore it is important for you to protect it. So before your phone gets lost, implement strong locks, both on the phone, your SIM card, enable 2FA, know your bank short codes, and set up remote wipe, set up remote lock on the phone. And in a case of a loss, it's time for you to activate those things you know already. Block your bank, block that SIM card, use remote wipe, alert your contacts, change password across your accounts, right? And then long term, make sure that you're always backing up. Make sure it's like a lifestyle for you, even if it's every month. Try to back up your data. Use password managers. Do regular security checks. Check what accounts are we logged in, what devices, what country. Imagine that you log in, you're here, you're probably somewhere in Panya, and then you're seeing that, oh, there's a login from London and all that. So you want to do all those checks regularly. Yeah, so very quick session, and I hope that at least you learnt one thing from joining this session. Thank you so much. Once again, this is Securely Evolving, and this is just one of our monthly sessions, Cyber Gist, where we just have interesting cyber conversations. So sometimes we bring guests on board, have conversations. You want to look back to previous live sessions and try to catch up. I'm sure you would learn one or two. So please, if you're yet to subscribe to this channel, you want to do that right now. You want to put a like on this video, you want to subscribe, you want to go through the channel and catch up with so many other important lessons, and you want to share this video as well. So if you're yet to do that, I don't know what you're waiting for. And October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we have interesting lineups on Securely Evolving channel, right? So we're going to be spotlighting stories of people who at one point or other have been victims of cyber attacks, have lost maybe money, due to scam and all of that. So if you would want to share your story, please, for those who have my contacts, reach out to me on WhatsApp, and we want to spotlight you. We want to spotlight your story. We want to bring you on board if you don't mind, and get to learn and share from lessons of, so that other people do not get to fall victim of these things as well. So thank you so much once again for joining. I'm sure you've done the sharing. I'm sure you've hit the subscribe button. See you next month. Thank you so much for joining us.